fall first.
Not only comfortable, but actually dry from the inside out, as opposed to hanging high and drying it in a more, time lengthy way. And then they say, now you've got your little ones, and what you're going to do is your grandparents and introduce them to the community. Then they're going to say, where are your little ones going to live? And I remember this. Everyone says, oh, they're going to live in a wigwam. And your grandparents will say, well, you're going to build them one. So the grandparents take you, and as your friends and family are building the large wigwam, you and your grandparents are making the one for the little ones. And then guiding is worth clue, translation's worth clue, survival is worth clue, and all that food and those trade items like the snowshoes, baskets you can make, the hunter canoes. Hunter canoes are quite valuable. Wild ricing, harvesting, ducks and geese, net fishing, trading between communities, building alliances. Building alliances not only in peace but for conflict. Dr. McLaughlin, how are you today?
I'm well, thank you. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm very well, thank you.
Good. Well, Andre, a salute for our friend Kakaki, newly arrived from Lac La Croix First Nation. For the safe arrival of our good friend.
Take care.
Well done.
Good work, Andre.
It's my pleasure.
Very good, good to see you.
Rendezvous, that's all right.
Yeah, business help me out. You know how things are.
I do. Well, if you join me in a cheer celebrating Kakaki, you see, without our indigenous allies, we have no one to trade with, first. Secondly, him and I have a great friendship spanning many years now. And thirdly, for the love of the women from your community and all the indigenous women whom we married, for their companionship and the warmth they provide us, 3 cheers for Kakaki. Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Hooray rather than huzzah. That's interesting. Another place and time, and I can help you with that. Especially you, madam. You seem to have madness in your eyes.
Okay.
Anyway, if you'd like to come see Kakaki and I trade, feel free to join us. Discuss business. Good.
Excellent.
Well,
this blanket is quite a generous gift as well. Of course, what's really appealing is the fact that it's greater than the color of blood, the color of life. So, we're also taught that if we have enough empty hands, it's always a good rule. So, it doesn't need to be an expensive gift, it's just something from your heart that just basically tells your friends that, your relationship has a lot of meaning, These 2 fine wolf pelts, and as we were just mentioning to our friends earlier, we're talking about fur, from tip to tail, quite fine. And of course, when we're young, and my grandfather's name is Shigad Sunrise, and what he does is he takes us out, teaches me how to survive, but then how to thrive as well. Teaches me the fact that the reason why we're harvesting wolves is because their fur doesn't frost or freeze, so they become an important part of our outdoor clothing, for hoods, for collars, for linings, for things like that. And so, Dr. McLaughlin, what I want to do is I want to provide these 2 fine wolf pelts to you, and hoping, and the people of Lac La Croix are hoping as well, that they provide you many years of comfort and warmth.
well, I appreciate that. And Yes, very fine. And my wife, being Cree, will sew one of these onto one of my coats for
Excellent.
me, and also for Mr. Tate, my constable and jailer. They'd obviously get along very well, so Marguerite will probably sew one for him too, as he does not have a woman to.
No.
Your parents coming here, the last couple rendezvous,
Excellent.
so he'll be as well. Now that our pleasantries
You can also be a silent partner. The silent partners are just as good as the vocal ones. How does that sound? Yeah. Very good.
You'll have to stop
Anytime,
it and start it again if you change.
anytime you want to, if you get the urge to leap in and do some training, oh, you're more than welcome to do that too. It's not just for the young, it's for the young at heart too.
What are you pointing at me, madam?
Nothing much.
Oh, you
He's
know what that
drawing a
is?
picture.
Dr. McLaughlin, that's one of those image takers I've been trying to get a hold of for the last little while.
Oh,
Yeah, I almost had my hands on one of those last week,
now this fellow's pointing one
but
at you.
the owner returned
Not that I
before
mind, sir, I
the
just don't know
owner
what it is.
returned before I could pry it open and find those little people in it, making those images.
Indeed.
So, all you need to do first, if you want to be a chief trader in training, is introduce yourself to Dr. McLaughlin here.
My name is Lucinda.
Lucinda, Miss Lucinda.
Van.
And you just need to tell them where you're from.
I'm from Toronto.
Ah, you're from
actually,
York.
Sorry, I'm from York.
Now, Dr. McLaughlin,
York.
remember those charts that the people were leaving carelessly behind, the ones I was showing you?
Yes.
Yeah, that Toronto is basically where York used to be.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, it's got something to do with this 2021 foolishness. Yeah.
Oh.
They make charts, they do all kinds of things.
I'm just
Interesting.
daft.
Yeah.
Daft, yes, that's a
Well,
good
you know what? Did he tell you? He could cure that.
Electricity is very good for daftness.
Yeah, he also told me it cures laziness, whatever that means.
Anyhow,
Who's that directed at myself?
no, not yourself. You're
Yeah.
you're a
I'm a
hard worker.
delegator. It's
As
not
they say.
lazy when you're delegating. So, what we're going to do, Chief Trader in Training and my friends, we're going to start the trade and we're going to be talking about beaver. So we talk about beaver, we talk about the fact that there's no hard currency here, although one of my friends was throwing some around there earlier. Yeah. Well, the currency of the Northwest Company is equivalent of one beaver pelt, which they call a credit or they call a plu, which is Latin for skin. Now, as I said to some of my friends, but some people haven't talked to you yet, if you're trading for fur, it's all in plu or credit. You're trading for food, like the wild rice we're bringing in from Lac La Croix, the flint, fish. You're talking about skills and abilities, right? Building those canoes, helping to sew those fur packs, guiding, translation. Any skill that you have is translatable to plu as well. And European trade goods, due to the fact that we're transitioning as a people from wearing clothes of hide and fur to wools and linens, and transitioning from weapons and tools of bone, stone, and wood to steel. All of those are transferable too, in plu and credit.
So the plu value itself is based off the price, the selling price of one beaver in London. So because once these furs, we've traded them with our Indigenous allies and then shipped them to London, England, they will be worth what the plu system is based on the selling price of one individual beaver in London, if that makes sense to everybody. I'm sure it does.
So, simply enough, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be presenting these to Dr. McLaughlin. He'll see what fine peltsies are, and I'm sure he'll find his way to be providing us one plu each. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, when we're trading with the Northwest Company, the Northwest Company, I tell all my friends, Anishinaabe friends, Ojibwe friends, Cree friends, my Métis friends, and my mixed blood friends, whoever I'm with at the time, I tell them the Northwest Company's generosity has no bounds. They're quite generous, and they got a reputation that we're trying to uphold with them. So,
That sounds like you're trying to get higher prices from me guys.
wow,
As
just
usual.
trying to get true value.
Nothing changes over the years, trust me. Especially Kakeki's trading.
Well, you should have heard some of our friends. Well, you're lucky you're not dealing with my father. He's
Indeed.
even a better trader than I am.
Well, it's
Yeah.
very, very important to remember what the beaver is used for, right? So
Mhm.
it's actually used to make this hat. So the gentleman's fashion in Great Britain and France and Europe in general, and the colonies. So the colonies being the United States, of course. I don't really talk about them much. Sorry, I had a weird thought for a second there. Well, let's just ignore that. So this
Focus.
hat in Great Britain, her colonies, and in other places in Europe, this is the gentleman's fashion. So this down hair here, this very soft hair underneath the long hair, the down, it's all that's going to be used for the hat. It's going to be using hot water and pressure. It's going to be molded to the outside of the hat. So Kankakee, these are very fine beaver. They have enough down hair. They're just dark enough that they won't have to dye them too much to make the nice black business hat you see I'm wearing. So 1 credit each, or 1 plume each, more accurate terminology, is perfectly fine. So
Excellent.
that would make 2 plume.
Very good. Next we'll be talking about
What
otter.
else do you have to trade with me today, Kak?
We're going to show you a sampling of otter. So we still have hundreds of pounds of fur, but we'll be dealing with those later. We'll just be dealing with these samples for now. This is a demonstration for friends. So otter, quite important in the fur trade. They can cut the otter fur, and furriers, I'm told, can make a less expensive hat if it's half otter, half beaver. Now, also used for collars and cuffs, and the value, the plume value, the credit value of these furs is 1 each. So we'll be asking Chief Trader in training for 1 each. You can see how fine a fur that is. Oh yeah, you can see the fineness of the fur, but then you can see the quality as well. And you can actually see the oils are still retained in it as well. Yeah. Very good. So, for that reason, we're asking for 1. And, you know, Dr. McLaughlin sometimes, and some of the other traders from North Wisconsin, they go on and on about how, otters to the east are so much bigger, but we're not dealing with the east right now. We're dealing with what we have here. Right? Right.
Well, bigger furs will fetch more. That's just the realistic scenario in the fur trade. But these are fine otter, and typically for a larger otter, I would give 1.5 each. But 1 each is very reasonable, Kankakee, but I'm going to outdo
I'm
you.
known for my reasonableness.
Because as he says,
everywhere.
the Northwest Company's generosity knows no bounds. Right? We're so generous. So 3 plume I will give you for these together. Normally,
good.
like you asked for 2 plume, I'm going to give you 3 plume together.
You know what? I'm feeling a bit generous now too.
So that'll be 5 plume in total. Remember that.
5.
So now we're going to talk about weasels.
You're talking about the animal kind,
Yeah,
right?
well, what other weasels would I be talking about?
Not about my second in command, Mr. T.